Hey, John Canzano and Tyson Alger of the Oregonian here at the Sprint Center in Kansas City, where Oregon just escaped, and I think they escaped, and I mean that in a good way, to get into the Elite Eight. Do you agree with that assessment? Did they escape at this point of the NCAA tournament?
Completely. You know, this was a game that almost came down to a sixth-year senior missing a free throw to end Oregon's season. In Dylan Ennis's words, he almost pissed away the entire season before playing kind of lockdown defense there on Derek Walton Jr. on that final play. As that ball went up, I think just about everyone on the Oregon bench thought this might be it here, but it ended up coming up short. Jordan Bell grabs the rebound, and the Ducks are on to the Elite Eight for the second season in a row.
You see Gonzaga on the other side of the bracket got a similar thing where, you know, it comes down to a last-second shot. The same thing against Rhode Island. Oregon had to find a way, and I heard from some people they don't think that the absence of Chris Boucher hasn't made a difference. I disagree with that. They're a different team without Chris Boucher, but you saw them all year. You're there every day. How different are they without Boucher right now? How much does that matter?
They definitely spread the floor differently. You know, Boucher is a guy that can score inside and outside for them. I think where it really comes into play is some of these shots Jordan Bell is able to contest in the paint. You know, he's been very good at keeping his fouls to a minimum because they have no depth there. But, you know, he used to be able to kind of go in there with reckless abandon. Not quite so much anymore because the next guy coming off the bench is Cavell Bigby Williams, who has played okay in minimal time so far, but it's not the same as Chris Boucher.
Another thing, I wrote it in front of the game that I think they need Dylan Brooks, and he scored 12 points in this game. He was really absent. The most noticeable thing he did was foul a couple times in a row in the second half. Can they get Brooks involved? And what's wrong with Dylan Brooks?
You know, it's definitely a tough thing with Brooks because throughout his career, he actually has been a little bit streakier than I think a lot of people realize. You know, this year, I mean, he's just been so good at times this year where it kind of masks a lot of that. But he had 12 points today. He shot a little bit better than he did last game. I thought he was still able to get things going a little bit with his facilitating, but they were definitely bailed out by the fact that Tyler Dorsey just remains Mr. March in a sense. He had his sixth straight 20-point game. I think with Dorsey, it's no longer a trend. It's kind of the player he's turned into here over the last month or so.
The first time ever I heard Dana Altman talk about being an old man when he was in the postgame. He said, "I'm getting old, I'm getting up there. You dream about getting to a Final Four." They're that close, but they're going to run into an opponent here in the Elite Eight that is going to throw haymakers at them. What needs to happen to get Dana Altman to a Final Four?
Yeah, we're here inside the Sprint Center right now. Kansas is in the process of putting an absolute beating on Purdue. It's going to be about 99% Kansas fans here. I think Oregon's got to be able to get into that game early. If they get behind quick and the crowd gets behind them, they're probably going to be toast. So they need to get out really quick. I think this is going to be the game that they need Dylan Brooks to have a Dylan Brooks game and just hope that everyone else can kind of keep everything else going because guys like Dorsey and Bell have already played well throughout this postseason. They just need Brooks to kind of come along.
Last year in the postseason they beat Duke, and I thought it was a great moment for them to sort of build on, and then they ran into Oklahoma and Buddy Hield, and Buddy Hield's in the NBA now, so you don't have to worry about him. But I think it's a similar thing where their experience and the fact that they played in that big game and they were on that stage, I think benefits them here. But I'm looking for a 20-plus point game from Dylan Brooks. They're 12-1 this year when he gets 20 or more. Tyler Dorsey needs to continue to score. They need a big Jordan Bell game, and somebody's going to have to do something surprising. Maybe Peyton Pritchard or somebody that you don't expect to come up with a big game to get him to the Final Four. That's what I think.
Hitting some free throws might help too.
That too. Back to you.